everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Teri, and this is one of my, he knows I love him, so he knows he can get away with that until afterwards, and then I'll beat him up. So basically what I like to do when I'm speaking for one of these, especially Brightside organization, is I'll give you a whole bunch of information, some stats about what we do, where we've been, where we are, that kind of stuff. And then what I find is people have so many questions that I like to just give that information out, kind of get that done, and then I just open up the floor. So with that being said, I'll start with some stats. So a few years ago when I spoke here first on Brightside was struggling. We were in a really troublesome space. We have since not only come out of that, but this last year had the best year financially that they've ever had in the history of the organization. And during that time, we had our executive director decide that her and her husband were going to move to Arizona. And so we had to start over. And we thought that that was going to be a months-long nightmare. And it so was not. So our new AD is Kristen Davidson, who was previously the executive director for Street Dog Hero. And she is she's been there just about 90 days now and is knocking it out of the park. So that's where we are that way. We're as close to fully staffed as we've been probably ever, but nature of the beast, a lot of floating jobs, especially techs. It's kind of a revolving door. But let's get to the important part, the animals. So in 2026, we had, for dogs, we had live intake, total 171 strays, and relinquished by owners was 87, total live intake for 258. And then we had, of all of the intake there on all sides, the total outcome was 405. So we had, I think this was also 2025 was the least number of euthanasias we've ever done in a year. And we're already nationally known for being a very high safe shelter, like above even the normal standard for a high safe shelter. So we take that very seriously. Fosters are our saving grace. I happen to be one of those, but if I keep keeping them, I won't be for very much longer. No, I shouldn't say that. I have failed twice in 35 years of doing it. So, and they're both adorable. Anyway, so far this year, in 2026, canines, we've had a total live intake of 126, and that is adult was 23 stray, 34 relinquished by owner. That's the one that always kills me. I just don't know how people do that. If you're ever standing in that back room when someone brings in their beloved pet and leaves them there, and you watch that dog, watch them walk out the door, it kills you. It kills me. Adoptions, 54, return to owner, 6. And then so far this year, we've had 0 adult euthanasias. Up to 5 months, we did have some puppies that got sick, 3 puppies that we had to put down. They would have perished either way. So that's where we're at for canines for this year. So in total, 120 animals have been taken care of. I think we currently have like 15 or 16, isn't it, Sarah, that we've got live dogs right now? Sarah is also on our board of directors, so she's going to keep me honest here. Felines for this year, 12 in shelter, 17 in foster care for this quarter. We've had 28 adults come in as strays, 60 relinquished by owner. Kittens up to 5 months, we've had 16 so far come in at stray, but let me just tell you that in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the kitten we get slammed. Like, I think last year I had 48 fosters. So, kittens. And then 4 unknown age strays that came in for a total of 109. Live outcomes, 77 adoptions in adults, 1 return to owner. Up to 5 months, 20 adopted. Of course, the babies always go easily. We had 1 that was transferred out to another agency in state. And then 2 age unknown, 1 was adopted, and 1 was returned to the owner. So basically, so far, total outcomes in this year is 106. We did have 1 adult and 1 under 5 months and 1 age unknown that died in care. So again, we never know where they come from. We never know where they've been. It's a shooting match. So, but let me just tell you, there isn't an employee in that place that doesn't get hit every single time we lose one. Even those of us that aren't in there on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, so those are just the basic stats for this year as far as the animals are concerned. Right now we only have a few cats in there because it's not really cat season yet. I think we had 1 mama and babies just came in last week. But that'll be ramping up here huge. This is probably the most dogs we've had in there for a while. So one of the other things that's happened in the last year is that Jefferson County lost their shelter. And so we have a contract with them. We had talked about the possibility of opening another Brightside, but we were literally just in our up and coming and getting back to a good space for ourselves and didn't want to risk that. It wasn't a functional idea for us to have a place in Madras and be trying to run both. So Taylor, our previous ED, and one of our board members have actually worked out a contract with Jefferson County. They put up, I think it's 5 kennels, and Jefferson County just brings their strays to those kennels. So we don't take animals, well, we say we don't take animals from the populace in Madras, but they just lie. So we definitely are. It was either that, and we get paid for it to take care of them, or we were going to get them all anyway, and then not have any funds to help sustain them. So, but that arrangement has worked out so well that what was originally going to be a 90-day deal, we're now almost a year later, and I think we've got a longer contract now. So it's working out really, really well. And so the dogs, they're not all just getting dumped out in the middle of nowhere somewhere. That happens too. On the other side, so we also, like I said, we have a new executive director who's so excited, and she's so high energy, and I just love her to death. But she has her and Savannah, our assistant director. We are putting on a gala on May 2nd. This is going to be our first more formal type of evening out. It's a sit-down dinner. We will have a wine pool. We will have a silent auction. We will have a open auction. I believe we're still looking for auction items. If anybody is interested, I do believe we still have a couple of sponsorship opportunities available for that as well. So if that's something that appeals to you, all the information is on our website at brightsideanimals.org. And then, okay, I just went right out the back. Oh, duh, the biggest one. And we're growing our board. We're trying to grow our board. So we have 7 board members now, all within the last year except for me. I'm the Lone Ranger that's been there for a few years. But so we would really like to get to 9 to 11 board members, and we're at 7 right now. So if you or anybody that you know, it's a very small commitment. We have 1 meeting a month on the last Wednesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. Obviously, sometimes other things come up, but for the most part, you can be as involved or as uninvolved as you want. I think all of us on the current board are probably over-involved. We all are volunteers as well as board members. So when we're on the volunteer mode, we don't wear this name tag. So, but it's a great organization to be a part of now, and it's really exciting. We've got so much stuff coming up. So I think that was everything that I wanted to get out, because I really like answering questions better. So go ahead. Crickets, don't you dare do crickets. Ask a question.
Where does the thrift store come into play?
Oh yes, the thrift store, of course. Well, so the thrift store has also gone through a humongous transformation in the last year and a half, and it's actually someplace people want to go in and shop. They've organized it. We brought someone in that actually had a retail background. And with literally the thrift store is, the monies from the thrift store goes straight into taking care of the animals. Also a part of the thrift store is our bottles and cans program. And that is about $200,000 a year that we get in bottles and cans that goes straight revenue into the shelter. And everybody goes, what? 10-cent cans, people. So when you see those bins, we've got the boxes pretty much Bend, Sisters, and Redmond. It's a nice chunk of, it saves us, honestly. It definitely saved us before. Yes? Yes, sir.
Another question. So I'm surprised to hear that at least last year's, it sounds like over half or almost half or over half of the dogs you took in were pets surrendering or owners surrendering their pets. Maybe the pets wanted to surrender their owner. Is this a trend? Is this normal? Is this above trend?
I think it's been trending. The economy has a lot to do with that. That's the one thing, in fact, it comes up in board meetings all the time. The nature of our business is it's hard to trend anything. Finances, animals, there's no set pattern or anything that you can nail down to say this is why this is happening. For some people that's very frustrating, but it's just the nature of the beast. So that would be, it just goes in strains. We've also had, people die. And they don't have anybody set up to care for their animals at their passing. You've experienced that. So I remember a little baby at your house that's something that people don't think about, but if you have a will and you have animals, I definitely suggest that you have some kind of an arrangement for those animals, or that's where they will end up. So I think that's probably the biggest reason. People they just can't afford him.
Could you explain how fostering works?
Sure. Yes, that I can explain very, very well. So you bring in these cute little babies, usually. Sometimes they're cute little adults, and you fall madly, madly in love with them. And they stay with you until they are old enough to, with the kittens, they come in. I've had them as young as 2 days old, and they have to get a bottle every 3 hours, and it about kills you. But one of my foster fails is one of those bottle babies, and he's 3.5 now. But basically, we always need fosters, because any time out of the shelter that those animals can spend is a positive outcome for them being adopted. So many of the animals don't thrive. Not only I wouldn't say any of them actually thrive in that environment, but a lot of them really struggle in that environment. And it's just, it's hard to watch when they're just shaking and cowering and don't know what to do. So basically fostering is you're just saying, okay, I've got space, I've got some time, I'll take this animal in. We provide everything. We provide medical care if necessary, all the food, everything that animal's going to need for the amount of time that they are in the foster program. And as soon as they are old enough to be fixed, or if they have a medical issue or whatever, once that can be taken care of, then they're put up for adoption. Kittens generally are at 8 weeks or 2 pounds, and they're able to be fixed. And then we also have foster to adopt. So if there's an animal that you're looking into or interested in, and but you're just not quite sure if you want the commitment of it, I don't know that we've ever had a foster to adopt that didn't actually adopt, but it's kind of a nice way to sort of ease yourself into that ownership thing. Because if you haven't had an animal in a while, it's a big change in the household. Cats, dogs, puppies. I don't know if I could do a puppy anymore. But anyway, so that's basically what it's about. And we're flexible. I mean, we'll move around. We'll do whatever to accommodate getting animals out of the shelter.
Yes,
Can I add a little bit to the foster piece really quick? So from a business standpoint, the fostering is also an enormous offset for the shelter itself. From a capacity standpoint and from a cost standpoint, each dog is about $350 a day to sustain within the shelter. And so you can imagine when a dog goes home, the stress levels go down, the health improves, the behavior improves, so it offsets training, it offsets veterinary fees, and it just improves the adoptability of the animal, and it offsets costs within the shelter. So it's like a quadruple benefit all the way around. And so anytime someone's able to, even to do what we call campovers, which is like a weekend away for a dog to just get out for the weekend, it's a huge impact for the dog and for the shelter. So Jason and I have had 12 fosters in the last year or so, all of which have been adopted, and they've been from 8-week-old puppies to 5-year-old dogs, and they've all gotten along with our dogs and our cat, and everything's actually been far smoother and easier than we would have expected, because as soon as they walk out of the shelter, their behavior just changes night and day. It's pretty actually incredible to watch, and each day is like an improvement over the previous day. So
It is such a dramatic personality change when you get them out of there, and especially if they're an older dog and they've been in a home before, they snap right back to that domesticated. You know, they can be in the shelter and be snarling and growling or shaking and cowering and all of those things, and you get them out and you just take them. I mean, even just taking these guys out for a walk, and it's just interaction, any human interaction these animals can get. I mean, they get it all day from the staff, but we have dog walkers, we have volunteers that come in and love on the kitties and do all, it all benefits them. There is no part of human interaction that doesn't help the program.
if you need a workout program, dog walking is great. Like I go 5 or 6 miles a day walking dogs.
yeah.
Well, we normally figure dogs and cats with the shelter, but what other animals do you accept, and what's the most unusual you accept?
So generally, we have had rabbits. I think we've had guinea pigs. We don't take anything bigger, like we don't take any egg animals at all. We don't take goats or horses or any of that. The county does. The county has a place set up for farm animals to go. We're just not set up for that. But basically, if it's small enough and we can figure out some way to market it, we'll take it. So it doesn't happen very often, mostly bunnies. I think a guinea pig was probably the strangest. So I think they're cute, but I have to stay out of the shelter as much as possible because I'm like a magnet. It's just like, oh, I want this one, and then I want this one, I want this one. So yes, ma'am.
So you said that the bottles and cans brings in about $200,000 a year. How does the thrift store, what does that bring in about?
It's close to that. They were averaging our income around $35,000-$40,000 a month, and that's after discounts and everything. Obviously, that's another example of what they get in is what they have to sell out. So always think of them for your donations, because before, Goodwill. Goodwill gets plenty of stuff too, and they're for profit and all of that. But yeah. And honestly, that's what keeps Brightside alive. We don't survive on adoption fees, not by any stretch of the imagination. By the time we have spayed or neutered them, vaccinated them, fed them for any period of time, medically cared for them for any period of time, that bill just racks up like huge. That's something else we've got coming though too. I just thought of too is we're trying to expand our veterinary clinic so that we can take in, maybe do some low-cost veterinary care, spay and neuter clinics, that type of thing. We hope to be starting on that here pretty quickly. So lots of growth, lots of exciting things. Such a different place than we were 3 years ago. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's been fun to watch it happen.
So,
You get any animals that have been seized, you received?
Oh yeah. Yep. So Jesse's laughing. Yes. Redmond Police, county sheriffs, they all know the code, and they can literally, Brightside doesn't have to be open. They pick up strays. In fact, in my opinion, when people come across animals that are strays, that's probably the better thing to do than to try and take care of it themselves, is to just bug these guys to do it. But yeah, so they have a code and they bring them in and put whatever information they might have on them, and the staff comes in the next morning and goes to see who's there. So, and that's what Jefferson County does. So they have 5 dedicated kennels just for Jefferson County. Were you ever on that detail?
Yeah, we have a contract in place with you guys that help out. But yeah, I've taken lots of animals to Brightside, and we actually have 4 community service officers, and their focus is quality of life, and one of those quality of life issues is animals at large. We're happy to leave paperwork behind so that people will remember to keep their dogs with tags and licenses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that probably is not a good citation. I'm just saying. That's,
Thank you, Teri.
let Sarah finish. One more thing.
Go ahead.
One more thing.
No worries. Well, one more thing to share with the group. So there's a new app out there called Sniff Spot.